All right, we've been following the controversy about Safe School czar Kevin Jennings, who was on record having praised Harry Hay, an outspoken supporter of the North American Man-Boy Love Association and of sexual relationships between younger boys and older men. Now, tonight, we bring you more information on this story. New video has been unearthed that shows Jennings arguing that all teachers must undergo gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender bias training because if they don't, they will pose a threat to children. Let's take a look.
There's some really nice, largely guilty, white, liberal, straight people who tend to take the one elective on bias in schools that we offer, but it should be a required course that every single student has to take before they're allowed to be in a classroom as a teacher near children. Because if they aren't aware of their biases and how it influences how they're going to interact with kids, they are a threat to children.
Threat to children. That's not all. We're going to have more shocking video for you coming up later. But first, let me bring in two people who know a lot about this subject and get their reaction. Lori Roman, a senior advisor on family education during the Bush administration and founder of Regular Folks United, and Sandy Rios, president of the Culture Campaign and a radio talk show host. Guys, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
All right, Lori, let me begin with you because this is our safe school czar. The mainstream media has ignored it. We brought in an FBI expert who had infiltrated the group NAMBLA last night. We brought in Congressman King from Iowa, and he wants the White House to fire Jennings, as I have been calling for here. As you look at his record, what do you think is the worst part of it from your standpoint?
Well, it's absurd, isn't it, that we even have to talk about this? You couldn't make these things up, that our safe and drug-free schools person is a person who has praised a promoter of adult-child sex. I mean, this is preposterous. But what parents need to understand is that although this is preposterous, and Kevin Jennings was the founder of GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, which is permeated throughout our schools. And there is an agenda there that is an adult agenda. It's a political agenda. But parents need to know that this is already through the schools. In fact, most parents probably don't know that October is Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender History Month. And I bet most parents don't know that the curriculum that was developed for that month through the sponsorship of GLSEN, which Kevin Jennings founded, promotes Harry Hay as an icon, and I bet they don't know that their children may have learned about Harry Hay today at school because he's the icon of the day for October 8th.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
All right, here's a question.
It's Harry Hay Day.
Because the White House is, the left-wing talking points, they're circling the wagons, they're trying to save this guy, and their talking points is, well, when he gave advice to the sophomore that was having sex with an older man, he thought he was actually 16, even though Jennings said he was 15. On the issue of Harry Hay, he didn't know anything about this NAMBLA stuff. Do you believe any of that?
No, I don't. I first became familiar with GLSEN when I ran a school board association, and I was on their mailing list, and I received all of their information teaching me how to propagandize young children as young as 5 years old in the schools because they thought I was an educator that would take forth their agenda for them. Yeah. And so none of this really surprises me, but I was surprised today to find out that it's Harry Hay Day and that many high school students throughout the United States were probably studying Harry Hay today.
Well, and also we have the issue, Sandy, of the book that he wrote, the foreword to, The Queering of Elementary Education, and his comments about religion and his advice that he gave this kid. 15 or 16 doesn't really matter to me. I think it was inappropriate of him to do that. Why do you think the mainstream media, now George Stephanopoulos is going to join us, mainstream media is making excuses. They're giving us the White House talking points. You know, that, well, he's really a good guy. We got to look at his whole career. The kid was 16. The kid wasn't 15. You know, why do you think everybody's ignoring this?
I think they're ignoring it because they're afraid of the White House. Sean, I can't think of any other explanation because Kevin Jennings' actions, his words, the things that he's done are appalling and disgusting. And we're talking about raping the innocence of our children. He's doing it purposely. The Queering of Elementary Education book, I don't know if you've looked at that, but it's all about having sex with adults, children and adults. There's one story in there, and I'd ask parents not to let their kids listen to this, about an 8-year-old girl whose mother's a lesbian, and they are talking about sex education in public schools, and the mother says, what's wrong with it? And the mother says, because it doesn't talk about the clitoris. Then they discuss a group of children playing, little girls together, and the mother and daughter talk about which of the girls they're attracted to, and it so happens they're attracted sexually to the same girl. That is the nature of that book that he wrote a foreword to. There are no excuses. I don't care if it's mainstream media. I don't care what they put on it. There are no excuses. This is appalling.
How do you deal with the White House spin about the advice that he gave a kid, a sophomore, comes in, seeks his counseling, and his advice, he didn't report it to the police. He said the kid is 15. Now they're saying, no, the kid is saying he was 16. I still think it was inappropriate. His advice was, well, did you use a condom? What do you think of that controversy?
You know, that wasn't even all of it, Sean, because the rest of the writing talks about how happy the boy was after he had this sexual relationship with this older man. That's what he thinks is important. I think it's appalling. There are no excuses for that. I used to be a public school teacher. Yeah. You go into public school and a minor comes and tells you they're having sex with an adult, let's say a young girl, 15 or 16, I don't care. She's having an affair with an older man, and I go, hey, did you use a condom? And I'm glad you're happy? That's irresponsible.
What does it say, and I'll go back to you, Lori, if I can, about this. What does it say, and George Stephanopoulos will join us next. He doesn't think this is a big story. He doesn't think that this is an important story. What does that say about the mainstream media that, you know, they were a year behind Reverend Wright, so far behind on Bill Ayers, didn't follow the town halls, the Tea Parties, Van Jones, all these other controversial appointments? What does that say about them, that they want access to the White House? Do you think that's what it's about?
Well, I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say that if parents really start finding out what's going on, and if the media really would start digging as you are, that this will be a bigger controversy and a bigger story than Acorn ever looked to be. Because this is about abusing the innocence of children, and it's about subverting parental rights. And parents do not know what's going on. Parents do not know. They subvert the state laws and the local policies that allow parents to look at materials that their children are going to learn about.
Let me just tell you, and I'm not going to give it away, we are getting new information in every day, and if this pans out, there is no doubt he will not survive. But thank you both for being with us.
Hey, Sean, thank you for doing this, Sean.
Well, it's a no-brainer to me, but we'll find out why George Stephanopoulos, some of the mainstream media, are ignoring this story. We'll check in with him. He's going to join me coming up next, and right after the break, we'll debate the Jennings controversy. That and much more straight ahead.